Hey everyone, you're listening to Nerd Boys Comics. I'm Marco.
It's me, Charles.
And today we're doing our second episode of Longbox Legends and Losers. On YouTube, this will be the first episode.
You can make it the second episode.
I could, but I just want to have Amazing Spider-Man 800 to be the first one.
Okay, because you're a Spider-Man lover.
Yeah, it's also more time sensitive. It's a new issue.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So this is episode 0.5.
We're doing it Evangelion style.
Yes.
It's episode 0.5 of Longbox Legends and Losers, a show where we talk about a certain comic, a storyline, or graphic novel, and kind of determine whether or not it was good or bad.
And 9 times out of 10, he would have read it, and I just would have skimmed through it as we did the Spider-Man, because it's how many pages again?
I forgot the exact count, but it feels pretty thick.
Yeah, it's pretty thick. I mean, like, we're talking about almost, like, slightly, like, graphic novel thick.
Yeah, like, this and the 2 issues prior could be a whole volume.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
It probably will be.
What was this, like a $5?
This was a $10 comic.
Okay, I mean, with the, like, thickness of it, it deserves to be.
Yeah, but the paper's a little bit kind of cheap.
I mean,
it feels a little... Oh, but it's also...
Hey, the $10 is the story that they were giving you. And yes. I mean, honestly, it's worth $10.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 800 issues, the big octennial of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Octennial.
Huh.
8 legs, 800 issues.
It's kind of fitting.
Yeah. This is the big showdown between Red Goblin and Spider-Man, which we had teased for maybe the past 3 or 4 issues.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't something that was looming since, like,
the
dawn of time.
Yeah, no. Norman came back, like, issue 25 of, like, the previous numbering of Spider-Man. So maybe, like, a few months ago. Because Marvel can't keep their numbering straight to save their lives. So, I want to say maybe 8 months ago, Norman came... No, a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Norman came back. And he just couldn't become the Green Goblin anymore. Like, for some reason, it just wasn't working.
Oh, like the serum that he... Or
yeah.
He just couldn't transform into the Green Goblin.
He couldn't transform, and he was, like, stuck in this weird phase of being half Goblin.
Ooh.
It was weird. But Red Goblin is kind of like him fusing with the Carnage symbiote.
Okay.
And he's had this big master plan of taking back Oscorp, which was bought by Alchemax.
Oh. I don't even know who Alchemax is.
Oh, in Spider-Man 2099, that's the big corporation that he works for.
Oh.
But in present day, Dan Slott has kind of... This is like a big book that's like Dan Slott's send-off, because this is his second to last issue. And it feels like he's trying to wrap up as many...
loose ends as he could?
Yeah, as many loose ends.
So no Last Jedi?
No, there's no last...
Everything that you've been wanting... Forget it. I'm just going to give you the answers that you don't want.
Yeah, this is like a majority of Return of the Jedi. This is just like everything getting wrapped up in a big, nice bow. And Nick Spencer's Spider-Man is pretty much The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay.
Open up every single thread that we just tied up. In a good or bad way, depending on how you feel about that. But I felt like this is a perfect send-off for the supporting cast.
Yes.
Because I feel like Dan Slott really hasn't had much to say with Spider-Man since, like... 2015, maybe? Like right around Secret Wars, he's kind of like run out of steam.
I mean, I can almost say almost everyone at Marvel kind of ran out of steam. I felt like, as you know, we discussed before, where after Secret Wars, it should have been just a clean reboot. And I was like, hey, let's just pick up right where we left off. And it's like, but you didn't really, because there was a lot of storylines that you just cut off because of the convergence.
Oh, the incursions.
Yeah, the incursions.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it was an urgent at the end.
I'm a strong opponent to the whole reboot thing for Marvel. I really think the strong suit is like 75 years of continuity?
Yeah, just keep it going?
Yeah, just keep it going. If you have like bumpy roads, if you have bumps in the road, then I think it's okay to ignore those bumps. Just keep going and eventually you'll have smooth roads. Spider-Man has had a lot of bumpy roads in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff we like to ignore or just kind of like push to the side. But for the most part, I think Dan Slott has created a lot of new characters.
Okay. Some
relationships. And stuff that you might really like.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, as in?
As in Big Time, where Peter Parker joins Horizon Labs.
Yes. Yeah, that was all right.
Spider Island.
Spider Island was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That to me, that was a good story.
And there's other like smaller things like Superior Spider-Man.
I really enjoyed that.
Spider-Verse.
To me, When I think of Spider-Man, and I can say if I want anything to be made into like a live action movie or an actual like animated movie, I want it to be Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think Spider-Verse is like your main focus for the new Miles Morales movie.
Yeah. I mean, I consider that, and this is me not someone being a hardcore Spider-Man fan, but I still know of him. I can say that like that's your go-to like Spider-Man story.
Yeah, if you want every Spider-Man Easter egg and appearance, you go to that book.
Yeah.
And the tie-ins. They have like a million tie-ins for that one.
But it's just like so many moments where it's just like it pays so much homage to like everything throughout Spider-Man's like entire quote-unquote career.
Yeah, like everything throughout all the media. Like video games, cartoons,
yes,
live action stuff, even the
Japanese robot.
Yeah, the tokusatsu giant Leopardon mech.
Yes. It's like, oh, you thought we forgot about that?
Oh no, he's in issue 4 or 5. I can't remember which one of that series. But yeah, to the meat and potatoes of issue 800 of Amazing Spider-Man, we got this big epic showdown between Red Goblin and Spider-Man and potential deaths along the way.
Oh, yes.
Even though no one really dies.
You know what?
Except one character.
Yes.
And it's probably one of the best handled deaths Marvel's had since like Aunt May dying in issue 400.
Are you talking about an entire Marvel series?
In Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
An entire Marvel series.
Maybe. Yeah. Should we get into like a big recap? Because this is a big book.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh man, this is going to be very lengthy and very girthy. So much so that this is broken up into like chapters. Let's try and get into this.
When you give an issue some chapters, you know it's serious.
Yeah. And each chapter is broken up into like different artists, and I really appreciate that. It has most of the artists who've worked on Dan Slott's Spider-Man, like Humberto Ramos. I think at one point we have Stuart Immonen working on the book.
Mm.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
And who was the artist for like the last chapter?
The last chapter, Goodbye, that was from artist Marcos Martin.
Okay.
Which I don't remember the name. I don't recall what he might have worked on, but I really like it.
Yeah, I like his... To me, that was fitting for that chapter.
Yeah. It has a very retro, neo-retro kind of style.
Yeah.
Where it's not entirely retro. It's kind of like an updated version of that.
It's like, they actually do have the technology to give you a classic look.
Yeah. Kind of reminiscent of like Ramita a little bit, but not entirely. Wait, I think I've seen this guy's work on other Spider-Man stuff, but yeah. Mostly on Spectacular.
Okay.
The other book that one of like the other 10 Spider-Man books that are out right now. But yeah, the whole thing with Red Goblin, he's defeated most of the Spider-Man cast that went out to fight him.
So let's get this me accent. How in the world did he get the Carnage symbiote?
That's a very good question. I have not read Spider-Man for about 4 months.
What?
Because I've grown very bored of Dan Slott's Spider-Man. Okay. I read this one out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. I've been collecting because I'm a Spider-Man collector, but I've grown really tired of his run.
Okay.
And I've only been picking up to finish my collection. So I really had no interest in reading like everything leading up to this. Mm-hmm. I just had the vague inklings of, just by looking at the cover, like, oh, Red Goblin is a thing. So I have no idea how he got the suit. I'm sure at some point, like, Carnage was like in a vial and he just took the vial and wore the suit.
I can see that happening.
Yeah. But he apparently beats up all the Spider-Man supporting characters like Miles, Silk, Clash, even... Well, Anti-Venom apparently is his only weakness. So the Anti-Venom suit has now attached itself to Flash Thompson, war veteran, and also all-around Spider-Man fanatic.
Yes.
Yes, even since the early days. And it's funny because Flash is he's a character from even before Spider-Man.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's from old romance comics from the 60s. Because back in the day, Marvel, they had two things when they didn't have superheroes. They had war stories. Mm-hmm. Well, no, three things. War stories, teen romance, and monster books. Yeah. So, I guess Flash Thompson was a big football jock / love interest.
And I mean, it's only fitting because, like, he fits, like, to be, like, the perfect bully for Peter Parker.
He's a bully and possibly a great friend in the future.
Yes.
Or the present, depending on how you look at it. Yes, but Red Goblin's going away. He's gonna kill all of Spider-Man's loved ones, including Aunt May and Mary Jane, because he knows he's Peter Parker.
Yes, which I say sucks for like Spider-Man. I'm like, how do people keep figuring out his secret identity? Like, we need to fix this.
Yeah. Well, Green Goblin has always kind of had this. He was one of the only villains who knew for like the longest time, and then he has amnesia, and then he dies, and he comes back. Then he gets amnesia again. So it's always on and off whether or not Green Goblin knows about Peter Parker. But they always bring it back to make melodrama. Mm-hmm. But apparently Alchemax, mm-hmm. they have a little sample of Anti-Venom because they're always doing something shady.
And Anti-Venom is...
It's an offshoot of the Venom symbiote. It's like black... No, it's white and black instead of black and white.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the reverse colors of Venom. And depending on who's wearing it, it looks slightly different. When Eddie wears it, it's more like his Agent Venom suit. Mm-hmm. Kind of more militaristic. I like the suit a lot. I like Flash Thompson's symbiote look.
Oh, okay. Symbiote.
Symbiote. Yeah, that's right. Symbiote.
You've been watching too much of that Venom trailer.
I have watched too much of Venom trailer. But it's funny because in this book, they reference that moment in the trailer. Because, yeah. So J. Jonah Jameson calls up this other newspaper, and he asks for Mr. Sim. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Sim is the alias that Eddie Brock is currently going under.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, Sim, wow. What's your first name? Biot? Yeah, and he kind of like bribes Eddie that he'll keep his secret just for his help. He wants Eddie Brock to go out and save Mary Jane. Because Peter can't go to two places at the same time. So he's going to have to need some help from Venom. Mary Jane is at Stark Towers right now because, she's working with Tony Stark.
Of course.
And her first instinct as soon as she sees Venom is to attack.
Yeah.
And she uses Sonics and Fires, which are Venom's weakness.
Yes.
But Red Goblin is different. Red Goblin, since he's attached to Norman, is immune to fire.
Oh, God.
And Sonics. So no weaknesses, but all the powers. And he's even got, like, goblin bombs that are, like, part symbiote.
Oh.
And they'll, like, talk to Peter and stuff. And they'll taunt him. Red Goblin at this time already destroyed all the Anti-Venom left. So Peter went to Horizon Labs pretty much for, like, no reason. Mm-hmm. Except to get taunted and pretty much threatened that his family's going to die in front of him. And he can do nothing about it. Let's see. And Mary Jane actually has both Red Goblin and Venom fighting, and she realizes that Venom's protecting her, and, like a lethal protector would.
Yes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Aunt May is at home, and a little boy, Normie Osborn, the grandson of Norman, is at the door, and he's asking for help. And it's a little bit confusing, because, like, why is Normie here? If you read the previous issue, you know that he's infected.
Uh-oh.
With the Goblin symbiote? Well, just the Carnage symbiote. And he's about to attack Aunt May, but then a certain superior scientist comes through the door. It's Otto Octavius as Dr. Octopus, the superior Dr. Octopus. So he's got like a new clone body of Peter. Mm-hmm. He's kind of Hydra'd out right now, but we'll forget about that.
Yeah.
We'll forget about that entire event that happened.
Things happen.
Yeah, but he's got a cool new suit, and it's really awesome. And he's fighting a demon child, or a goblin child. With the Carnage symbiote. Then they cut back to Mary Jane and Peter and Venom fighting Red Goblin.
So, quick question. This Dr. Octavius inside a clone body of Peter still have all of Peter's powers?
Yeah, I think so. He's got the muscular body. He's got... I'm not entirely sure. So I think it's like a Ben Reilly situation.
Okay, so it's technically have all the Peter powers, but he just added like mechanical arms to it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's badass.
Yeah, it's kind of like having an Iron Spider suit.
Like, Doc Ock always been like one of my favorite like Spider-Man villains because of the arms. And then like when I see, of course, Spider-Man 2, which is like my favorite Spider-Man movie, so great. I'm just hoping that eventually one day with the new Spider-Man series, they throw in a Doc Ock.
I know. I'm kind of hoping Mark Hamill plays Dr. Octopus.
Yes.
I kind of hope that he does.
Oh, God.
It would be nice. But I don't think he'll be in 2. I think he'll be like in 3.
Yeah, because, I mean, as you already know, okay, side discussion. As you already know, they already talked about Mysterio supposed to be the next villain.
Yes, and we won't talk about leaks here, but like,
no,
it sounds very interesting.
Another video,
another podcast.
Okay, now we're back on the comic.
Now we're back to the comic, yes. And there's a big nasty fight happening at Stark Tower, and Red Goblin kind of just he's beating the shit out of like Peter and Venom and Mary Jane. Mary Jane has like a repulsor ray.
3 against 1.
Yeah. Nothing. No. And Peter, he kind of like flies away in like a taunting manner and being like, well, I'm going to go pick up my grandson who's probably killed Aunt May at this point.
Oh.
And Peter's like, God damn it. Like, I'm not strong enough to beat this guy. He's got a symbiote. He's Green Goblin. Like, I could beat him without the symbiote, but that's not an option right now. And Eddie Brock, kind of being a good guy at this moment, is like, you know what? Take the symbiote. Take the Venom suit, and we will... Or, that was funny. And I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Like, just don't hurt her. Or don't hurt him, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying something in that vein. And we get another black suit moment.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because MJ actually was like, he's right. Like, no one else could do this. Like, you're much stronger than any normal person. So the Venom suit would actually amplify that even more. And I'm Mary Jane and I hate Venom. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to let you wear the black suit again.
I mean, it's not like they're not together. She doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah. That's another thing I hate about Dan Slott Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He refuses to put them together.
Yeah.
Like, he'll tease it every time he gets a chance, but they are never going to get together.
One thing I can say is shout out to like the new black suit. I like the slightly new design. I know you were like, wait a minute, it's just the same old black suit. I'm like, no. This looks a little bit cooler.
Yeah. It's got the legs all the way up to the shoulders.
Yeah, and it connects to like the legs in the back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's so much cooler.
It is. Like you pointed out to me, and I have to say, I like it a lot more than the classic look. It's also got a little bit of webbing underneath. Which
that I did notice, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know what it is, but like that webbing under the armpit, it should look weird, but it to me, it's just so cool.
Yeah. It's classic. It's a throwback. You can't beat a classic. But yeah, we get to this big fight with going back to Aunt May's apartment. Mm-hmm. The Goblin Child and Superior Octopus, they're fighting. Superior Octopus just sounds like a weird name.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call him Dr. Octavius. Doc Ock. I'll call him Doc Ock.
I feel like Superior Octopus is just like, it sounds like a bad hentai.
Yeah. That's getting into hentai territory. But J. Jonah Jameson, who's, I guess, trying to make amends for something that happened previously, sends out a Spider Slayer. Like an old Alistair Smythe tech.
Wow.
And it kind of reminds you of like classic, you remember the 90s show, right? And how they had the big screen with like...
Yeah, that's why when I seen it, I'm like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
What is this?
And even the 90s show, that's a reference to in the comics back in the 60s.
Yes.
There's a big robot with like a J. Jonah Jameson television head on it. And it was just fun to see, like...
I just like how they just digging in a vault for, like, everything Spider-Man for this issue. I mean, it is issue 800.
And not only is Aunt May, the aunt of Peter Parker, but Aunt May was also married to J. Jonah Jameson's father. And that was a thing that happened way back in issue 600.
Oh, wow.
So, like, everyone's... At this point, it's a big soap opera. I mean, Spider-Man was always a soap opera, but, like... Dan Slott made it even more so.
He's like, this is Days of Our Lives with all my children with General Hospital fused together.
Yeah. And there's also a guy with spider powers. It's like if Uncle Tony or something from whatever soap opera was always late to whatever and also had a side job where he was a superhero.
Like, you late once again to the bar mitzvah. I'm sorry. Something came up.
Wink, nod. But yeah, so... Like I said, this book kind of has this weird thing, like all the supporting characters get moments, and Peter only gets like one. He gets the one kind of heroic thing at the end.
Yeah, I mean, well, we are following his story. I mean, let everyone else... Without the supporting characters, there would be no Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, there'd be no story without all these casts. Like,
yeah.
The entire cast is pretty much the strong suit of a Dan Slott book. He's very... rarely written like a compelling Peter Parker. It's always like the bumbling 20-something-year-old Peter who's like always late, can't hold down a job. Like maybe for 12 issues he'll be financially stable, and then like the next 12 he's bankrupt.
He's like, God damn it, I used up all of my savings. Like, sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird up and down for like Dan Slott's years of Spider-Man, because it's like he's single, he's got a girlfriend, he's financially stable, he's broke, he's living with Aunt May, he's getting kicked out by Aunt May. It's up and down with this guy. But yeah, he saves Aunt May, and Otto Octavius is gravely hurt in the fight. Mm-hmm. But Aunt May kind of forgives Doc Ock in like this weird kind of way. Where
he did just save her life.
Yeah, he did save her life. And Aunt May gives this speech to Peter of like, well, I used to think you were a pretty bad guy, but now I see you as a good guy. Like, can you see Doc Ock as a good guy as well? And he kind of, in this book, he forgives both Eddie Brock and Dr. Octavius.
I still want to know what Doc Ock was doing there.
He's always watching Aunt May, apparently.
Oh, that's probably subconsciously, like, because that is Peter's body, and that's how much Peter cares for Aunt May. It's just, like, subconsciously, like, intertwined in the DNA of Peter Parker to protect Aunt May.
Yeah, I think there's two reasons. There's the whole, like, I once tried to marry Aunt May because I'm Doc Ock.
What?
Yeah, it was a whole thing about a nuclear power plant that he would inherit if he married Aunt May.
Was this like 60s?
Because this sounds like 70s, 80s.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah,
that sounds like a storyline you could use for like during those times, because that wouldn't make sense now.
Yeah, my greatest enemy is marrying my aunt. What? Very classic story.
I did it just to get the power plant. I can't even say it with a straight face. I'm sorry. That's just the wildest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. What? Like I said, soap opera.
Yeah.
But he gives a clean slate to both Otto Octavius and Eddie Brock, who both seem to be turning a new leaf.
I mean, Eddie Brock has been Venom, and like he's been Agent Venom, correct?
No, Eddie Brock was Anti-Venom for a while.
Oh, okay.
Because this is when he had cancer.
Oh, no, that's Flash Thompson, who was Agent Venom.
Yeah. Eddie had cancer for a while. Then he got Anti-Venom as a suit. And then he lost Anti-Venom when he, during Spider Island.
Oh, okay.
It was this whole big fiasco of Eddie Brock almost dying and then not dying and then just being a normal dude. But yeah, apparently Osborn, his big plan was to inherit Alchemax. He wants Liz Allen, the biological mom of Normie, to sign over the... It's so weird. Normie's like...
Liz Allen. Why do that name sound so familiar?
It's Peter Parker's first crush.
Oh.
And Harry Osborn's baby mama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, hey, yeah, that girl you like? I smashed it.
Yeah. Don't worry. That's very rare. No, it's brought up a lot, actually.
Actually, it's done quite a few times. I feel like every time Peter doesn't make a move, it's like his best bro just goes in for the kill.
Yeah, that's usually the case.
Don't worry, Marco. I'm not that kind of person.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm already spoken for.
Good.
Yes, unless I one more day of my marriage away.
Then I'll be like, "What are you doing, Marco?"
I have to save my elderly geriatric aunt who got shot and would probably want to be with Uncle Ben.
And that's when I come in like Cloak and just be like, "Stop it!
Stop
it!
Don't make this deal with the devil, Peter."
I know. I come in like Cloak, and then I would just pull out this big ass clock. It's time to stop.
That needs to be a thing. But yeah, his whole plan was to to have Normie inherit Alchemax from Liz Allen, because Alchemax has recently purchased Oscorp.
Oh, okay,
so he wants
couldn't keep it up.
Yeah, he wants to keep the family business, kind of. And she's like, inherit? What do you mean? And
wait a minute, so she was gonna have this kid inherit the company?
Yeah, Norman Osborn was like, you know what? If you sign this paper, sign this contract, then your son will inherit the company when you die. Mm-hmm. Which means I'm going to kill you right now after you sign these papers. So just sign him so I can kill you right now.
But then if the son inherits it, what he's going to do? Take over the son's body?
Well, he'll be the legal guardian.
Oh.
So it'll go to him. So
this sounds like some series of unfortunate events type stuff.
Yeah, it's Count Olaf. He's like, yes, I'll be the legal guardian of this child. Also, I'm played by Neil Patrick Harris in disguise.
I hate to be mean, but it's better than Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And he flips a table, makes a quip about, like, you know, this is how you turn tables in the corporate world or something like that.
Dad joke.
Yeah, a grandpa joke. And then out of nowhere, trapdoor, Harry Osborn comes out in a glider with pumpkin bombs, and he just starts fighting his dad.
What?
Yeah, it's funny because Norman was just insulting his son. He was like, my spineless son wasn't even here to protect his family.
You know what? See, while I was skimming through the book, I kind of like glimpsed over that very quickly because I see no Spider-Man. So I'm like, I'm not going to pay attention to this. But when I did see that, I seriously thought that was like Norman. And I was just like, what the hell he's on the glider for? Like, but now it's Harry, which, by the way, I like how it's like, he's like, oh, my son, he's like a piece of shit. He was like, you thought wrong, Dad.
You thought, yeah,
you messed up, A.A. Ron.
Yeah, and well, you probably thought it was Harry, or you probably thought it was Norman because of the cornrows.
Yeah.
The weird white boy sideways cornrows.
I always thought they were waves.
I think they're waves. I think they're like white guy waves.
Like, I'm like, I don't know how you guys got this, but I'm glad it's only just to like you two.
Yeah. It's funny because I think there's a real life picture of a guy with the waves and he's got the widow's peak.
Oh.
I know Mr. Sunday Movies put in a video actually.
Oh, God.
Not too long ago. But yeah.
And of course he defeats his son because let's be honest.
Yeah, when you have Carnage.
He's Red Goblin right now.
Yeah. And he actually manages to throw Liz Allen out of the window. And he says, oh, land. Oh. Sorry, I couldn't even say it with a straight face. Oh, man, what is it with me and high buildings and blondes? It's something like that.
Oh, my God.
It's like, what is it with me and heights and blondes?
Wow.
But thankfully, Peter saves her.
Okay,
like Peter in the black suit. He
okay.
jumps in and saves her. And Normie sees this. Normie, goddamn, I hate his name.
That is a horrible name.
Norman Osborn Jr. or the third, whatever. Normie sees his grandfather trying to kill his mom, and realizes that he was wrong. And he's like, "You try to kill my mom? I'll kill you."
And he transforms into...
Well, no, he doesn't really do anything. He just kind of like attacks his grandpa.
Oh. And
then his dad jumps off the glider, and Peter holds Red Goblin kind of in the spot to where he gets stabbed by his own glider.
That's homage to the first Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, and then he says, "Oh no, not again."
Wait, but this happened in the comic before?
It happened in the comic.
Good God!
It's how Green Goblin dies the first time.
Oh, so... Wow. So we should appreciate that Spider-Man movie more than we know.
Yeah. Wow. Just a little bit more. And then, of course, he's got the symbiote on, so it doesn't really hurt him that much. Am I saying symbiote right? Symbiote. Okay.
It's symbiote.
Symbiote. And they
as long
fly
as you
off.
don't say symbiote, then we have nothing to worry about.
Symbiote. Yeah, the internet's not going to kill me for saying symbiote. And they fly off, kind of have their own aerial fight, like every Spider-Man video game in the world.
Of course. I mean, when you have Green or Red Goblin, and he has a glider always, you got to have that classic flying through New York on that glider fight.
Yeah, the classic glider swinging fight. I really like this one actually because Peter points out how the Red Goblin has failed all of this night. Like, he said over and over again, "I'm gonna kill everyone you love," and he's like, "You're the biggest failure I've known in my entire life. You're a huge screw up." I mean,
but every time they fought him, all Red Goblin did was pass out those L's.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was just getting spanked from left to right. Yeah, he ain't killed nobody, but he kicked their ass.
Yeah, and actually had a long game. He had a big plan. He had a little bit of the symbiote put into everyone's body.
Oh, so he really have been winning all this time.
This whole time he was playing the long game. So he's infected Clash, Silk, Harry, MJ, Aunt May, and he's about to kill them all with one snap of his finger. And he snaps his finger, but nothing happens.
And that's because...
It's because Anti-Venom was there. And when earlier in the issue, I think Silk calls Spider-Man Petey.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of realizes, oh shit, Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Oh.
And so he kind of healed Clash and Silk when they were in the hospital. And he went to save MJ and Aunt May and also Harry. So he's not too far away from the fight at this point. He actually got a chance to heal Harry, probably last, since he's the furthest away from where he was or whatever. And Flash has used up a lot of the symbiote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could see his prosthetics, because he lost his legs in the war, for anyone who didn't know that. And he's pretty much on a rooftop, almost bare-chested, with his symbiote, like, almost flying off him. And Red Goblin, in utter rage, is just like, "I'm gonna kill you now! You've ruined my plan." Like, when Grandmaster plan, and Red Goblin shoots out his glider at Peter, which is kind of like its own sentient thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just bites down on him. And you have Red Goblin, who can't really touch Anti-Venom because it's like the weakness to his suit. Because Anti-Venom is really OP. But you also have Green Goblin underneath the suit, so he has the electrical gloves shocking Flash Thompson to death, pretty much. Like classic Joker buzzer style.
Yeah.
And at this point, Peter's pissed. Like he's going full Venom right now. Like the tongue, the teeth, the muscles.
That. I was just like, whoa.
And he says the line, "We're gonna eat your brains." Like classic 90s Venom would say. And he's having this moment where he's looking down at Flash, and Flash is telling him, "Don't do this. Don't lose control, because there's a lot of good in that suit, and like most of that good comes from me. Like I helped the suit kind of overcome these urges it had, and it's for good now. Don't lose it. Don't be the one to corrupt it again."
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of has this little heart-to-heart with Peter and tells him, "People need you. They need Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man. My hero, my friend." Those are his last words. And it's one of the most touching moments. But then you realize that Spider-Man just knocked Red Goblin out into Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And he kills a random Spider-Man street performer.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of street performers when I was in New York. And they're kind of jerks.
Yeah.
So I think this is like Dan Slott's way of like killing a jerk Spider-Man performer.
Like, remember, this can happen to you too.
Yeah, if you live in New York, watch out for Red Goblins. Peter kind of was like, "Okay, you need to stop, Norman. Like, 2 people have already died tonight. It's time for you to stop."
He's like, "No! Goblin bombs everywhere!"
Yes, I've been going about this all wrong. I was going for your loved ones. I didn't need to kill your loved ones. I just need to kill anyone. And it'll hurt you. Because you're Spider-Man. You're Peter Parker, and you feel guilty about everything. So I'm going to kill everyone here. He throws out spider bombs. They're all exploding. He's trying to save like as many people as he can. And at one point, Norman's like, "Oh, great, you saved 5 people. Let's see how many more you could save." And just throwing out bombs. Pretty much doing a piss poor job of like saving everyone. But, trying his best.
Yeah, I mean, that scene honestly reminded me of like The Dark Knight Returns, when the Joker just ran to a crowd. He just starts shooting random people.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's The Dark Knight Returns of, it's the tunnel scene.
Like, it's one of those, like, okay, we're dealing with a lunatic here. You just need to kill them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. At one point, Red Goblin does get the upper hand because there's fire everywhere, and the Venom suit is weak to fire, so now Peter's at a disadvantage. And Peter Parker's thinking to himself, there has to be, like, a weakness. Like, everything in nature has a weakness to it. It can't just be the Venom, like the Anti-Venom, that's his weakness. It's got to be his hubris.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to Norman, like, "You're about to kill me, but it's not you. It's the Carnage symbiote. Carnage is the one who's about to get all the credit for this."
Yeah.
And you see into the eye of Carnage, and it's like Cletus Cassidy, like, in his moment of triumph, kind of like being like, I'm going to kill Spider-Man. I'm going to be the one to do it. And Norman Osborn can't stand that. He's like, "No, it has to be me." He violently rips off the suit. Meanwhile, Peter's like saying goodbye to the Venom suit. He's like, "Okay, you go off now and you go find Eddie. I'm going to fight this guy now."
Like, you couldn't even return him?
Well, it's like, you go somewhere clear, okay? I'll make sure you get home to Eddie or whatever. Like, he's doing it really nicely.
Yeah.
And then Norman is like tearing it off, like violently trying to rip it apart. And then they go mano-a-mano. And it's all the dirty tricks that Green Goblin would throw, like the shocking gloves, everything. And then, there's moments of Peter just thinking back to all his loved ones who have been lost, and he punches Green Goblin. Like, every punch is someone. It's like Uncle Ben, or it's Captain Stacy, or it's like MJ, Gwen, Robbie, Harry, and the last punch is for Flash. And that's the last blow. And Norman's down for the count. Like, he's good. Except he's not good. He's not finished and he's not done. Mm-hmm. He calls out to the red suit again. He's like, "Oh, I need your help again."
Red suit like, you say you didn't need me, bro.
Yeah, nobody calls out for it again. And at the final moment, like right as they touch, Peter like grabs a gas tank and like just lands it on Norman and the red suit. Because at this point it would be weak to fire without him. And there's a giant explosion. You don't really know what happened. And it's still ambiguous as to what really did happen. But Norman's just like speaking gibberish, like blah 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 blah. Like that's what it sounds like he's saying. And out of the smoke comes J. Jonah Jameson.
Which was like, how the hell did you get here?
Yeah.
How did you know we were going to be right here?
Well, he's kind of been following the whole fight from afar because he had the Spider Slayer, he had all this stuff. But he comes in with a gun, and he's pointing at Norman Osborn, saying, "All right, we know what's going to happen next. He's going to go to jail, and he's just going to come out. And he's going to come after you again. And he's probably going to kill more people. He's going to kill the ones you love and the ones I love."
Oh, he's about to Jason Todd him.
Yeah, he's about to just shoot him right there. He's about to go Red Hood.
Fine with this. Yes,
he fires the gun, and Peter jumps in the way.
God damn it, Peter.
Like, takes a bullet in the shoulder for Norman Osborn. And J. Jonah Jameson has this look on his face like, what did I just do? Peter did this massively heroic thing of like saving this poor, miserable, evil bastard. and
POS.
Like, POS. And Jameson like drops the gun and runs away.
Okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what did I just do? I'm J. Jonah Jameson. I should be like smoking a cigar and like yelling for pictures of Spider-Man, not shooting Green Goblin in the street. We have one of many epilogues because we've gone through many chapters already, but one of the big epilogues is Norman in Ravencroft, kind of like the Spider-Man equivalent of Arkham, and he's locked away by Jonah's son, who's also like J. Jonah Jameson III or something. And
he's not the astronaut, right?
He is the astronaut.
He owns a prison now?
He's a general in the army, or he's a general, and I guess the government owns the.
Enough said.
Yeah, it's a mental institute, or also kind of like a prison. It's like Arkham.
Yeah.
It's weird. Doesn't really have rules.
That don't matter. It's like Arkham. They don't have rules either. We just lock up bad people.
Yeah. But Norman's locked up, and he says, haha, I know your secret. I know who you really are. And then Spider-Man's like, Who am I? It's like, you're Norman Osborn. And who do you think you are? I'm Cletus Cassidy. And then you have this moment of like, okay, Norman's lost it again.
Yes.
And he has amnesia again. But he didn't die. So.
Of course. That's how we keep him.
That's how we keep him in the story. Like, you didn't kill him off, you just gave him amnesia. And made him crazier. Like you do every time you beat Green Goblin.
Gave him that Voltron Hank Pym situation.
Yeah, kind of the Ultron thing.
I said Voltron, not Ultron.
Yeah, and then our second epilogue kind of is the return of Harry Osborn.
Yeah,
because for a while Harry was going by the name Lyman, which is his mother's maiden name. Because he was really ashamed of Osborn being his name.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not like as if his dad didn't do so many devilish things.
Yeah, it's not like he had to go to Europe for many years to avoid the paparazzi and avoid the bad press.
Yeah.
That his father was giving him.
It's not like your dad took over S.H.I.E.L.D. and called it Hammer.
Yeah, it's not like you were dead in continuity and then we brought you back after one more day and retconned in all this stuff.
I didn't explain it, no.
No. Actually, I think Harry was around when his dad was head of Hammer. Yeah, I think Harry had just come back at that time. Well, that doesn't matter. Harry's son is getting cured of the Carnage symbiote. Cured in quotation marks because he feels alright. But in the last panel of this, you get a little bit of red in his eyes.
The game is on.
The game is on. And for our final epilogue, we have the funeral of not Eddie Brock. We have the funeral of Flash Thompson.
Which is very sad.
It's very sad. You have Betty Brant giving a eulogy, and then you have Peter Parker giving a second eulogy. And he mentions how, let's be honest. Flash was a bully, and he was my bully. But, he did so much good at this. Like, later on in life, he changed, he became a better man, and he's actually become my hero in a way because, he's such a patriot. I really love this art from Marcos Martin.
Yeah, that's what I told you. That was like my favorite art in the entire book.
Yeah, but it's a really touching funeral. Like, I've been to many military funerals, and this does a really good job of capturing that the somber feeling of it, even the colors for the book. Yes, but in the final moments of this final epilogue, J. Jonah Jameson's talking to Peter, and they're having another heart-to-heart, because everyone's having heart-to-hearts in this book. Mm-hmm. Everyone's having moments. And Jameson kind of says to Peter in kind of like a backhanded compliment kind of way, trying to be tough, but also being like sincere and earnest. Like, you're needed out there because there's sirens going off. Mm-hmm. Go be Spider-Man. Go do your thing. And then Peter like rips off his suit that he was wearing to the funeral, and Jameson picks it up and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna wrinkle like this. This guy kind of needs me. I need to be there for him, almost like an Alfred."
You jumped too far ahead.
Yeah, maybe like an Alfred, depending on how Nick Spencer takes this. Or maybe depending on how Chip Zdarsky takes this.
Yeah.
Because he's working on the other book. And then this very cool neo-retro style, Peter's swinging away to save the day. And then we get the credits. We get some nice letters from the fans. We get a gallery of covers and a post-credit scene.
Which surprised me.
Yes.
In a comic book post-credit scene.
Yeah, in a Marvel comic, they pull the old Marvel Studios post-credit scene.
You're not going to talk about the post-credit scene?
I'm going to talk about the post-credit scene.
Okay.
We have a new join coming to Horizon University. Mm-hmm. Horizon University is like this campus set up by Max Modell, another another slot character created, who is the head of Horizon Labs. Now he has a campus. It's open 24/7, so the staff and the students can use the facilities. And Anna Maria, the former love interest of Peter Parker / Dr. Octopus, is also there. And this new joint is kind of being walked through and shown the sights, introduced to Anna Maria, and he goes by the name. What is his very terrible made up alias? He's called Elliot something Tolliver.
Elliot Tolliver.
Elliot Tolliver.
And who is this Elliot Tolliver?
Elliot Tolliver is secretly... Hold on, Charles. I think you need to sit down for this.
I'm already sitting down.
He is secretly Otto Octavius.
He's trying to get that booty again.
He's trying to fall in love with Anna Maria all over again. Or trying to get her to fall in love with him. Using a clone body of Peter and also a weird haircut.
Because, like, I missed the end credit scene and I didn't get a chance. Oh, God. I strive to be superior.
Yeah, that's his final line. That's the final line of the whole book, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. This giant, massive, cumulative event for Spider-Man it ends with a really cheesy Superior Spider-Man.
That haircut! Oh.
So if you remember Rugrats, you remember like Phil and Lil, right?
Yes.
That is their haircut. Like,
can I go ahead and say it?
Yes.
It's that fuckboy fade.
It is.
It's that, like, seeing it in real life is already cringy enough, but seeing it drawn out and then knowing who this character is, it's even worse.
Oh, yeah. But I think a lot of what's good about this book is just how much attention is put into, like, bringing up past relationships characters have. Because I've been reading Spider-Man for, I want to say, like, at least 15 years. And, like, 10 of those years were Dan Slott.
Yeah.
So he's brought up a lot of his old stuff. And he's actually worked kind of like weaving new lore into the character. Mm-hmm. And he brought up, like, as much as he could. Like, he references things that happen in, like, Spider Island. He references, like, Big Time, different things that, even, like, recent things. Like, Mary Jane working for Tony Stark. And I think he does a pretty good job of, like, kind of closing it out for everyone. Kind of also cleaning the slate. So, like, anyone could have really jumped on the book. Not just, like, Nick Spencer. Like, Chip Zdarsky could have worked on Amazing and Spectacular. And it would have been, like, seamless. But, yeah. Do you want to talk about the covers?
Yeah.
Yeah, because mine is actually a Mark Bagley cover. He was working on Spider-Man in the 90s. And he also was the main artist for, what was it? Not Amazing. Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis.
See, John Romita Sr., I'm just like, ooh. This one right here, that's... I feel like,
Yeah, John Romita Sr. was a big-time Spider-Man artist in, like, the 70s. Most of the cool stuff that, like, you see referenced over and over again was his art. And then you have a bunch of other really great covers that just reference things that you might know about. And
yeah. Too many lovers.
Yeah. One of the covers is literally, it's like the 4 loves of Peter Parker's life. It's Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Aunt May, and Aunt May's wheat cakes.
Don't forget Black Cat.
Oh, Black Cat. I forgot about Black Cat. She's also... Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing Black Cat be like a love interest again.
I'm curious, what's going on with this one?
I have no idea, but I did get that one. The Mobius cover?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that was Andrea's favorite.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Pretty dark.
But I think every like variant needs, or every big annual thing needs like a variant that just has nothing to do with the book.
Yeah, some of these variants are actually impressive. When I pick up my issue, I'm definitely going to see which ones they have at Gmart, which is a great comic book shop to go to in Chicago. You should really check it out. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but yeah.
No, I'm impressed. Like, I can honestly say, from someone who has not heavily read Spider-Man, this issue, and especially with the length of it, it's good. Like, I really enjoyed myself. Like, it's one of those things. I have not been like, a strong supporter of like Marvel comics because they haven't really been their best, but this one I can say they put their foot in it.
Yeah. So it gets Charles's rating of they put their foot in it.
They put their foot in it. I'm sorry. Even someone who has no idea what's going on, I just feel like as if like, okay, I know, Norman Osborn, he has the freaking, Carnage symbiote, he's wreaking havoc, and just like the story throughout the entire thing, like I enjoyed it. Even glimpsing it in, and then you're telling me about it, I'm just like, I can't wait to sit down and read this.
Yes. I think this deserves the title of Longbox Legend.
Yes.
Instead of Loser. It's definitely a must-get for a collector.
Yeah.
I consider myself a big-time collector of Spider-Man. I might not read them all, but I'll collect them.
How did he get this? I don't know.
I don't know. It just happened like 2 issues ago.
Too many questions.
Charles, I love Spider-Man. And I'll read, like, up until a certain point, I just had to stop for a while.
No, I mean, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Like, we know that, I mean, I hate to bring this up and beat them up about it, but as of lately, Marvel, they haven't really been on their best behavior when it comes down to, like, actually pushing out good stories. But every now and then, you find a diamond in the rough.
Yes.
And that's what this is.
Yeah, this book is... It's definitely going to be something I recommend to people like, oh, hey, you definitely should check out 800 because it's really good. And also, it's like, just, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. It's $10, but it's a thick book.
Yeah, it's worth $10.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth the price of 2.5 Marvel books.
Yeah. Especially,
like, the quality of Marvel books that are out now. This is like, I want to say this is worth, like, 5 Marvel books.
If you've been buying, like, random issues like, oh god, I don't even know what Marvel is pushing out right now.
If you've been so something I've been like collecting just so we could talk about later because it's really bad. America Chavez, her solo book. Like, if you've bought like 5 America Chavez issues, you should treat yourself to Amazing Spider-Man number 800.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Don't use that as an excuse to say we could talk about it all here. It's bad and you keep buying a bad book. Yeah. Blame no one but yourself.
You know what I could do? I could literally just go to the library and probably get the volumes.
Yes.
Which I might end up doing instead of spending to get the next 6 issues, I think. Because the book canceled. That book got canceled a long time ago. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah. Pick up 800. It's really good. It's really special. And I think it's something everyone should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think they're selling... I think this book is going to like print for this week again, like a second printing.
Oh, wait a minute. It's not the first week of it? No. Today is Tuesday. Of course, it's not the first day of it being released. It was released last week?
It was released last week, yeah. Wow. I think it's going to go to second... Well, of course, it's going to go to second printing. It's like a big...
Spider-Man, first of all.
Yeah.
And then, it's 800.
Yeah. I think it'll go for a few more printings, too. But I was just surprised at how many were on the shelves.
Yeah.
Like, at every store I went to, I think it was, like... It took up a whole shelf space.
It's worth it. Okay, and this, once again, me shooting shots. What else you think deserved to be on that shelf besides Spider-Man 800?
Yeah.
If anything... It was a blessing to those books to be taken off the shelf to make room for Spider-Man 800.
Yeah. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about, like, Action Comics 1000.
Oh, yeah.
And when I went to the midnight release for that book, it was everywhere. Yeah. I think they had more issues of 800 than 1000.
Wow.
Yeah. At least the stores I went to.
I can honestly say, if you really think about it, Do I want to say Spider-Man is more popular than Superman?
I want to say Spider-Man has more goodwill to casual people than Superman.
Well, it's because I hate to say it, but he's kind of more relatable.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man definitely has that relatability, and he has, like, kids love Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like you grow up loving Spider-Man, and like you read the comics, and I think nowadays kids don't really have anything Superman to like cling on to.
Honestly, I have to agree with you. Like, when it comes to me growing up, what brought me to Superman was the 90s cartoon.
Yeah, the 90s cartoon and the Richard Donner movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christopher Reeve and, what is his name? The voice actor for Superman. Can't remember his name right now.
And I can actually, yeah, if you, being a 90s kid, growing up in the 90s, like, you know, the Adventures of Batman, Adventures of Superman, like, those were the Spider-Man, X-Men, like, those things help you, get into these properties. Like, as I discovered within my late years of living, all those cartoons were pretty much commercials. They were toy commercials, and they worked well, because if it wasn't for those, I wouldn't still be a fan of that stuff today. And I feel like children don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's also laws that are kind of like, you can't advertise directly to kids. You have to like do something else, which is why a lot of the 90s shows actually became more story oriented.
Yeah.
Instead of being, buy this toy, buy this headquarters set, buy this Castle Grayskull.
Oh, God.
Which I had a Castle Grayskull, but that's besides the point.
It's okay. I had like Ninja Turtles. I had like the whole sewer situation that was going on. Oh,
did you have the turtle van?
Yeah.
Man, we should do a whole thing talk about like toys.
Oh no, I don't even want to get into that. Okay, because where my obsession come in at Power Rangers Megazords.
Yes. Oh man, I have a Power Ranger right there.
What?
Yeah, right behind you. I bought that recently.
Green Ranger. Oh God, that's the one with the head that flips?
Yeah, the one with the head that flips.
I'm opening it.
I kind of want to open it, but I'm just like, oh.
No, don't do it. That's why you buy two.
I know. I'll buy it. Like, you know what? I want to buy Tommy and Jason. I want to get both.
I would say for those, I wouldn't open them up. But like for Megazords, I would have to buy two. They're like $50 a pop. And I'm just like, you only live once.
Yeah. But I think we've gone far enough off topic.
Yes.
I think, we already recommended the book. So now I guess it's time to close out the podcast.
I guess so.
Yeah. So if you've listened to this whole thing already,
ranting.
Yeah, our ranting about Power Rangers and Spider-Man and how the series has been up and down, but this was a really good story and a good book.
Perfect climax.
Perfect climax. There's one more book. There's one more story after this. Dan Slott's not done yet. I think it's like a swan song, pretty much. Just like, look how amazing my run was.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to regret leaving, though. Because I think he stayed on so long just because he wanted to be the one to stay on the longest.
Mm-hmm.
But Bendis actually stayed on longer on Ultimate Spider-Man. So he has like a 17-year tenure on the series. Yeah. But anyway, if you like this video and you want to see more of us, you could always leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Marco.
I'm Charles.
We'll see you guys later. Peace.
See ya.